Hello there. Tonight, we are not going to talk about grand empires. We are not going to talk about wars or kings or dates that you have to memorize. We are leaving all of that behind. We are walking away from the noise, away from the concrete, away from the ticking clocks and the bright screens. We are going back, far, far back, to the very edge of the woods. Close your eyes. Let the tension drop from your shoulders. Imagine you are standing in a forest. But this is not a forest you know. This is Japan, perhaps 10,000 years ago, perhaps 12,000. It doesn't matter. Time does not matter here. Years are not counted by numbers, but by the falling of the oak leaves and the slow melting of the frost. The air here is different. It is heavy. It is cool and incredibly damp, carrying the deep, rich scent of wet moss, decaying cedar logs, and the dark, fertile earth. Take a slow breath in. Feel that ancient, quiet air fill your lungs, and let it out. You are walking, but there is no path. There are no roads here. There are no signposts. You step carefully, feeling the ground beneath your bare feet. The forest floor is soft, almost spongy. It is a cushion made of thousands of years of fallen leaves, turning slowly back into dirt. Every step you take makes a quiet sound. Crunch, rustle, snap. A dry twig breaks under your heel. The sound travels a little way into the thick ferns, and then the forest swallows it whole. The trees around you are immense. Beech, oak, and chestnut. Their trunks are wide, covered in rough bark and patches of pale green lichen. They stand perfectly still, like silent watchers who have been here since the ice retreated. The canopy above is thick, allowing only thin, dusty beams of afternoon sunlight to reach the ground. Dust motes dance slowly in the light. They rise, they fall, with no hurry at all. As you walk deeper, you begin to notice a change in the air. The smell of the wet earth is still there, but now there is something else intertwined with it. Wood smoke. It is not the harsh chemical smell of a modern fire. It is the sweet, sharp, earthy scent of burning oak and chestnut wood. It smells like warmth. It smells like survival. You push through a cluster of low-hanging willow branches. The leaves brush softly against your arms, and you step into a small clearing. This is not a village as you would imagine one. There are no fences. There are no straight lines. The earth is simply cleared. The wild grass trampled flat by calloused feet over many, many seasons. And there, sitting squat and quiet against the backdrop of the massive trees, is a dwelling. It does not look built. It looks as though the earth itself has simply pushed upward to form a hollow mound. This is a pit house, a Tateyana Jukyo. Let us stand here for a moment and just look at it. It is not tall. The roof slopes almost all the way down to the ground. It is covered in thick, heavy layers of dried silver grass and reeds gathered from the riverbank miles away. The thatch is old. It has been baked by the summer sun, battered by the autumn typhoons, and pressed down by the heavy winter snows. It has faded from a bright golden yellow to a muted, dusty brown, blended perfectly into the dirt and the dead leaves around it. Here and there, the thatch is patchy. You can see the dark, rough-hewn wooden poles underneath, lashed together with strong vines that took days to soften and braid. It is not perfect. It is not symmetrical. The roof sags slightly on the left side, where the wind pushes against it the hardest. But it holds. It is a compromise with the weather. It is just enough to keep the rain off and the warmth in. From a small opening near the top of the roof, a thin, grey ribbon of smoke rises into the cool evening air. It drifts upward, lazily, twisting and curling before it vanishes into the shadows of the tree canopy. The smoke is constant. It never stops, because the fire inside never stops. Let us move closer. The ground around the dwelling is hard-packed dirt. You can see the faint indentations of footprints, some large, some very small. There is a discarded pile of cracked acorn shells near a flat, heavy stone. Someone spent hours sitting there today, crushing nuts with another stone. Crack, crack, crack. The endless, repetitive work of staying alive. But right now, the stone sits empty. There is no door to knock on. There is no wooden barrier to keep the world out. There is only an opening, low to the ground, covered by a heavy flap made of deer hide. The fur has been worn away in places by the passing of hands and shoulders. It hangs there, thick and insulating. You reach out and touch the hide. It is stiff, slightly greasy, smelling of animal and smoke and time. You lift it just a little and you step down. You must step down because the floor of a house is dug deep into the earth. 1 step, 2 steps, 3. You are descending into the ground. Immediately, the temperature changes. The chill of the forest air is gone. It is replaced by a thick, heavy, radiant warmth. The air in here is dense. It is very smoky. For a moment, your eyes sting, and you have to blink slowly to adjust to the darkness. There are no windows. The only light comes from the very center of the room. There, sunken into a pit lined with smooth, round river stones, is the hearth. It is the heart of the house, the center of the universe for the people who live here. The fire is not a roaring, dangerous thing. It is a controlled, quiet, steady glow. Thick logs of hardwood sit on a bed of deep red and orange embers. Every so often, a pocket of sap catches the heat, and there is a soft pop, followed by a tiny shower of orange sparks that float up toward the dark roof. You sit down. You do not sit on a chair. You sit directly on the ground. Beneath you there is a woven mat made of dried reeds. It is rough against your skin, bristly and uneven, but beneath it, the earth is solid. It is hard, packed down by years of bodies, resting, working, and sleeping in this exact spot. It feels grounding. It feels like you are anchored to the very center of the world. Look around the walls. The dirt walls are curved, rising up to meet the wooden frame of the roof. They are the color of dried clay, uneven and scarred by the tools made of bone and antler that dug them out long ago. Above you, the rafters are blackened with years of soot. Hanging from those rafters, drying in the rising heat of the fire, are bundles of herbs, strips of pale bark, and strings of mushrooms. They sway very gently, barely perceptibly, in the warm updrafts. The smell of the smoke mixes with the earthy scent of drying plants and the lingering aroma of whatever was cooked in the clay pot yesterday. It is a smell of absolute permanence. Outside, you can hear the faint rustle of the wind picking up in the trees. You can hear the distant, lonely call of an owl. But inside, it is quiet. There is someone else here. Across the fire, a figure sits cross-legged, cloaked in a woven bark cloth. They are not speaking. They are not looking at you. They are simply staring into the embers, their breathing slow and rhythmic, in and out. The firelight flickers across their face, casting long, slow shadows on the dirt walls. There is nothing to do right now. The acorns are gathered. The water is fetched. The clay pot sits cooling in the ashes. There is no urgency. There is no deadline. There is no tomorrow to worry about. because tomorrow will be exactly the same as today, and exactly the same as 1,000 years ago. You watch the embers glow. They pulse, turning from bright cherry red to a dull, ashy grey, and then back again as a tiny breath of air hits them. It is mesmerizing. It is like watching the heartbeat of the earth itself. Pop! Another spark flies up. Your eyelids are feeling heavy. The warmth of the fire is wrapping around you like a heavy wool blanket. The smell of the smoke is lulling you, pushing away all the thoughts of the outside world. The ground beneath you holds you up, steady and safe. There is only the fire. There is only the quiet breathing. There is only the slow, unending passage of the night. You are safe here, at the edge of the woods, deep in the earth. You can just rest. Let the embers pulse. Let the shadows dance. And let yourself drift away into the ancient, quiet dark. You are still here. The fire still burns. The shadows on the dirt walls of the pit house have shifted, stretching just a little longer, leaning just a little further as the sun outside dips lower behind the ancient beech trees. But in here, time moves differently. In here, time is not measured by the sun. It is measured by the work of the hands. Look down at your hands. In this world, your hands are your only tools. They are calloused. They are stained dark with earth, the fingernails packed with dirt that no amount of river water will ever completely wash away. And right now, your hands are cold. They are buried in a heavy, wet mound of raw clay. This is not the refined, smooth clay of a modern pottery studio. This is earth. It is raw, dense, and heavy. It was dug from the banks of the slow-moving river 2 days' walk from here. It smells of deep water, of decaying fish scales, of ancient algae, and of the cold, dark mud that rests beneath the current. It smells like the foundation of the world. Take a deep breath. Smell the river mud mixing with the wood smoke. It is a thick, grounding scent. You press your palms into the heavy mound. The clay pushes back. It is stubborn. It is cold, carrying the chill of the river, water deep within its center. You must warm it. You must convince it to change its shape. And so, you begin the endless work. You push the heel of your hand into the grey mass. Squelch. The wet sound fills the quiet room. You fold the clay over on itself. You push again. Squelch. You press your weight down through your shoulders, transferring the warmth of your body into the earth. It is a slow, rhythmic movement. Push, fold, press, push, fold, press. There is no rush. Rushing will leave air bubbles trapped inside. Air bubbles are the enemy. If there is air in the clay, the heat of the fire will find it. The air will expand, and the pot will shatter into 100 jagged pieces, wasting days of labor. You cannot afford to rush. Your survival, the storage of the autumn acorns, the boiling of the winter stew, depends entirely on the patience you show right now. So you work slowly, painfully slowly. Every few minutes, your fingers find a small imperfection, a tiny, sharp pebble, a fragment of a crushed clamshell, a stiff, dry piece of a willow root that has been buried in the riverbank for a decade. You stop. You pick it out with careful, deliberate fingernails. You toss it into the shadows, and then you return to the rhythm. Push, fold, press. The sound is hypnotic. It becomes a heartbeat. Slap, fold, press. After what feels like an hour or perhaps 2, you do not know, and you do not care, the clay begins to yield. It grows slightly warmer. It becomes smooth, elastic, and willing. Now, the true art begins. The making of the vessel. There is no wheel to spin. There is no machinery to make the sides perfectly round. There is only the slow building, layer by painful layer. You pinch off a piece of the clay. You roll it between your palms, back and forth, back and forth. You roll it against the flat, worn wooden board resting on your knees. It elongates. It stretches into a thick, wet rope. The clay slips slightly against your skin. You take the heavy, flat base you formed earlier, and you lay the wet rope of clay along its outer edge. You press it down. Your thumb presses into the soft earth, sealing the coil to the base. Press, slide, press, slide. You pinch off another piece. You roll another rope. Back and forth, back and forth. You lay it on top of the first. This is the coiling. This is how the world is built. One slow, repetitive circle at a time. The pot begins to rise from the earth like a living thing, growing millimeter by millimeter. You pick up a small, smooth wooden paddle. It is worn perfectly smooth by generations of hands doing this exact same task. In your other hand, you hold a smooth, round river stone. You place the stone inside the growing pot, supporting the soft, wet wall, and with the paddle, you begin to strike the outside. Pat, pat, pat. It is a gentle sound, not a strike of anger, but a rhythmic, coaxing tap. You are marrying the coils together. You are smoothing away the lines, forcing the wet earth to become a single, unbroken wall. Pat, pat, pat. You dip your fingers into a hollowed-out gourd filled with water. The water is cold. You run your wet fingers over the clay. A thin, slippery slurry forms. You scrape a large curved clamshell upward along the side of the pot, smoothing the surface, thinning the walls. Scrape, glide, scrape, glide. The repetitive sounds fill the pit house. The pat, pat, pat of the paddle. The wet scrape of the shell. The occasional deep, chesty cough of the elder sleeping near the back wall. The wind softly whistling through a gap in the thatch roof above. It all blends into a symphony of absolute, unending routine. Hours pass. Your back aches. A dull, throbbing pain settles low in your spine, a familiar companion that you have known since you were old enough to carry firewood. Your knees are stiff from kneeling on the woven mat. Your shoulders are heavy, but you do not stop. You cannot stop. The clay is drying. If you stop now, the edges will harden, and the next coil will not stick. You must finish. The pot is now tall. It flares outward at the top, a wide, open mouth, waiting to hold the bounty of the forest. It is beautiful in its imperfection. It leans ever so slightly to the left. The walls are thicker in some places, thinner in others. It is not uniform. It is human. But it is not finished. It is naked. It needs its mark. You reach into the small pouch hanging from your leather belt. You pull out a short length of cord. It is twisted, rough, made from the strong fibers of wild hemp. It is frayed at the ends. You hold the cord against the wet, soft surface of the clay, and slowly, with immense, deliberate pressure, you roll it. You roll the twisted cord across the belly of the pot. It leaves an intricate, crisscrossing pattern in the wet earth. It looks like the waves of the river. It looks like the twisting roots of the ancient trees. It is the mark of your people. The Jomon, the cord mark. You roll it again and again, covering the surface in this rough, tactile texture. When the fire finally hardens this clay, this mark will remain. It will remain for 100 years. It will remain for 10,000 years. Long after your bones have turned back into the soil, this simple pattern, pressed by your tired, muddy hands, will still exist. But right now, You are not thinking about 10,000 years from now. You are only thinking about the fire. You carefully lift the heavy, wet pot. Your muscles strain. You carry it toward the center of the room, toward the hearth. You do not put it in the fire. Not yet. It is too wet. The heat would destroy it instantly. You set it down on the hard dirt floor, just at the edge of the fire's warmth. It must dry. It must dry incredibly slowly, for days, before it can face the flames. You sit back. You wipe the sweat and the clay from your forehead with the back of your dirty wrist. You look at the fire. The fire is everything. It is light in the endless winter darkness. It is the only thing standing between your family and the freezing death of the night. It cooks the tough roots. It smokes the deer meat. It keeps the wolves in the deep woods where they belong. And keeping it alive is an endless, agonizingly boring task. You pick up a long, blackened stick. You poke the embers. A small shower of sparks dances upward. You reach into a basket woven from river reeds. You pull out a handful of dry, snapping twigs. You place them one by one with agonizing precision onto the glowing red coals. You do not smother the fire. You feed it gently. Snap. Crackle. The tiny twigs catch the heat. A small blue flame licks upward, curling around the dry bark. You watch the flame. It dances. It is mesmerizing. Your eyes feel incredibly heavy. The heat radiating from the hearth is washing over your face, baking the thin layer of clay dust on your skin. You watch the smoke rise. You hear the slow, rhythmic breathing of the people sleeping around you. You hear the tiny crackle of the fire eating the wood. There is nothing else to do. The pot is made. The fire is fed. You just have to sit here. You have to watch the embers. You have to listen to the quiet. You have to let the heavy, warm blanket of the ancient night settle over your shoulders, down into your bones, until everything fades into the slow, steady rhythm of the fire. Crackle, pop, shh. Stay with me. The fire in the pit house is still a warm memory, but for now, we must step outside. The season has turned. The lush, suffocating, humid green of summer has slowly bled away, replaced by the brittle gold, the deep copper, and the dying brown of the Jomon autumn. The air is no longer damp. It is sharp. It is clear. It carries the faint, dusty scent of dry grass, dying ferns, and the sweet, heavy promise of ripening nuts. Listen to the forest today. It is louder, yet somehow much quieter. Every movement is amplified by the dryness of the world. Crunch, crunch. You are walking through a vast sea of fallen leaves. They are crisp under your bare, calloused feet, crumbling into 1,000 tiny, dusty fragments with every heavy step you take. You are moving slowly. Your head is bowed. Your shoulders are rounded. Your eyes are scanning the uneven ground. This is the gathering. This is the great, quiet preparation for the long, white silence of winter that is creeping ever closer. You carry a large basket slung over your shoulder. The thick strap is woven from split bamboo and sturdy vines. It rubs rhythmically against your collarbone. The basket rests against your hip. It is empty now. It feels light. It feels hollow, but it will not stay that way for long. You stop, here under this ancient spreading oak tree. The trunk is massive, a wrinkled grey-brown giant that has seen 100 autumns exactly like this one. Its bark is deeply grooved, rough like the hands of the elders in your village. Beneath its sprawling branches, The ground is completely hidden under a thick, chaotic carpet of brown leaves. But you know what lies beneath them. You kneel, slowly. The dry leaves crackle under your knees, a sharp snapping sound that echoes for a brief second in the quiet woods, before being swallowed by the vastness of the trees. You reach out with your dirt-stained fingers. You brush away the top layer of crisp, curled leaves. Rustle, sweep. Beneath the dry top layer, the earth is still slightly damp. It is dark, crumbly, and smells intensely of rich soil and slow decay. And there, resting perfectly still in the dark dirt, is a single acorn. You pick it up. It is small but heavy for its size. It is a deep, polished brown, gleaming slightly even in the muted afternoon light. You turn it over in your fingers. You run your rough thumb over the smooth, hard shell. You feel the rough, bumpy texture of the tiny cap at the top. It is a perfect, self-contained piece of the forest. It is food. It is survival. It is life. You hold it over the open mouth of your woven basket. You let it go. Thud. The acorn hits the hard, woven bottom of the empty basket. The sound is hollow. It is lonely. It resonates for a fraction of a second against the dried vines. You reach down again. You brush away another handful of leaves. Rustle. Here is another one. Half buried. You dig it out with your index finger. You wipe the dark soil from its smooth surface. You drop it into the basket. Thud, clack. It hits the bottom, rolling slightly to rest against the first acorn. You find a third. You drop it. Clack. You find a fourth. You drop it. Clack. This is the work. There is no grand adventure here. There is no adrenaline. There is no excitement. There is only the earth, the leaves, and the endless, repetitive motion of your body. Reach, brush, pick, drop, reach, brush, pick, drop. You move your knees a few inches to the right. Crunch. You repeat the process. The world shrinks down to the space right in front of your hands. You do not think about the future. You do not think about the past. You only think about the next acorn. Your mind empties out, becoming as clear and as blank as the pale autumn sky above the canopy. Hours begin to bleed together. The sound of the basket changes. It is no longer a hollow thud. As the acorns pile up, the sound becomes a softer, duller clack, clatter. As wood hits wood, shell hits shell. The basket is growing heavier. You can feel the weight of it pulling down on your shoulder strap. A steady, grounding pressure that reminds you of your task. You stand up. Your knees pop softly in the quiet air. A dull, familiar ache has settled into your lower back. You place a hand on your spine and stretch, leaning backward. A long, slow breath escapes your lips. You look up. The light in the forest has changed. The sun has moved, dipping lower toward the horizon. The beams of light filtering through the remaining leaves are no longer dusty white. They have turned a deep, liquid gold. They catch the dust kicked up by your feet, making the air look thick and heavy. The shadows of the trees are growing longer, stretching across the forest floor like dark fingers, reaching for the coming night. You adjust the heavy basket on your hip. You begin to walk again. Crunch, crunch. You move toward a grove of chestnut trees. The ground here is different. It is littered with prickly, light green and brown burrs. They look like tiny, sleeping hedgehogs curled up in the leaves. You cannot use your bare hands here. You find a heavy, flat river stone and a thick, sturdy stick. You crouch beside a fallen burr. You press the stone against one side of the spiky shell. With the stick in your other hand, you pry the burr open. It splits with a soft, tearing sound. Inside, resting in a bed of pale, velvet-like fuzz, are 3 perfect glossy brown chestnuts. They are beautiful. They look like polished mahogany. You scoop them out carefully, avoiding the sharp spines of the husk. You drop them into the basket. They are heavier than the acorns. They make a deeper, more satisfying sound as they hit the pile. Thump, thump, pry, open, scoop, drop, pry, open, scoop, drop. The rhythm takes over again. The ache in your back becomes a dull, rhythmic pulse that matches the steady work of your hands. The wind picks up just a little. It rustles the high branches of the oak and chestnut trees, a sound like a distant, rushing river. A shower of dry, yellow leaves falls around you, drifting down in slow, lazy spirals. One lands softly on your shoulder. You do not brush it off. You simply let it rest there. The basket is now very heavy. The strap digs into your shoulder, leaving a red mark across your skin. The harvest is good today. There will be enough to leach in the cold river water, enough to grind into bitter flour, enough to bake into hard, dense cakes on the hot stones of the hearth when the snow is piled high outside the pit house. But all of that is work for another day. Today is only for gathering. You stand up once more. The golden light has faded, replaced by the cool, purple twilight of evening. The temperature in the forest is dropping rapidly. You can see your breath pluming faintly in the air, a small ghost of warmth escaping your lips. It is time to go back. You turn around. You begin the slow walk back toward the smell of the wood smoke. Your feet drag slightly through the leaves. Crunch, shh, crunch, shh. The weight of the basket swings rhythmically against your side. It is a comforting weight. It is the weight of survival. As you walk, the sounds of the forest begin to fade. The wind dies down. The birds have gone to sleep. There is only the steady, hypnotic sound of your own footsteps carrying you back to the fire, back to the dark, back to the endless, quiet repetition of the Jomon night. Listen to your footsteps. Crunch. Shh. Let the weight pull you down. Let the darkness wrap around you and just drift away. The gathering is over. The day is gone. The heavy basket of acorns sits quietly in the corner of the pit house, disappearing into the shadows. The sun has fallen far below the edge of the world, pulling the heat and the light down with it. It is night now, the true deep night of the ancient world. There is no moon outside. The sky is choked with thick, heavy clouds that swallow the starlight. The forest is completely black, silent, and frozen. But you are not out there. You are inside. You are deep in the earth, sheltered beneath the thick thatch roof, wrapped in the familiar, smoky warmth of the hearth. The fire has burned down low. It is no longer roaring. It is no longer dancing. It is simply a bed of deeply pulsing red embers, glowing with a steady, quiet heat. The light it casts is weak, painting the dirt walls in shades of dark orange and deep brown. The shadows do not jump. They simply breathe, expanding and contracting with the faint drafts that slip through the roof. Everyone else is asleep. The slow, rhythmic breathing of your family fills the quiet space. In, out, in, out. It is a comforting sound. It means safety. It means survival. But you are awake. You sit cross-legged near the edge of the glowing embers. Across your lap, you have spread a thick, soft piece of cured deer hide. It is worn and supple, smelling faintly of smoke and animal fat. It rests heavy and warm over your knees. In your left hand, you hold a stone. It is not an ordinary stone. It is obsidian. Volcanic glass. It was traded from a tribe living many valleys away, brought across the mountains in a leather pouch. It is precious. It is the sharpest thing in this world. The piece you hold is roughly the size of your palm. It is pitch black, but in the dim light of the embers, its smooth, glassy surface catches the faint red glow. It looks like a piece of the night sky, frozen and heavy. It is cold against your calloused palm. It has sharp, jagged edges where pieces have already been removed. You turn it over very slowly. Your thumb traces a smooth ridge, feeling the grain of the glass, searching for the perfect angle. You are looking for the platform, the place where you will strike. In your right hand, you hold your tool. It is a baton made from the thick base of a deer antler. It is dense, heavy, and pale yellow, smoothed by years of use. It fits perfectly into the curve of your hand. It feels like an extension of your own arm. You lean forward slightly, your eyes narrow, focusing entirely on the black stone. The rest of the room fades away. The sound of the sleeping family fades away. The wind outside ceases to exist. There is only the stone, the antler, and the exact point where they will meet. You take a slow, deep breath. You hold it for a single heartbeat. You raise the antler baton. Click. You strike the edge of the obsidian. It is a sharp, clean sound. A tiny vibration runs up your arm. A small, thin flake of black glass separates from the main stone. It falls. It lands on the deer hide across your lap with a sound softer than a whisper. Shh. You exhale. Slowly. You turn the stone in your left hand, just a fraction of an inch. Your thumb wipes away a tiny smudge of white rock dust from the edge. You find the next angle. You raise the baton. Click. Another flake falls. Shh. This is the work. It is not about strength. It is about precision. It is about geometry. It is about reading the invisible lines inside the stone and coaxing the shape out of the dark glass. You are making an arrowhead, a tiny, perfect triangle of black glass that will ensure your survival when the snow melts and the deer return to the valley. But the deer are far away and the snow has not yet fallen. There is only now. There is only the rhythm. Click, shh, click, shh. You fall into a trance. The mind stops racing. The thoughts of winter, the thoughts of the harvest, the thoughts of tomorrow, they all dissolve. They are chipped away, piece by piece, just like the black stone. You strike again. Click. A larger flake falls this time. It is razor sharp, thin enough that if you held it up to the light, you could see through it. It joins the small pile of discarded glass, resting on the leather pad. The pile grows, slowly, steadily. You turn the stone. You inspect the edge. It is getting thinner. It is getting sharper. You switch tools. You set down the heavy antler baton and pick up a smaller, finer tool. It is a pressure flaker, made from the curved tine of a smaller deer antler, tipped with a small, hard piece of bone. Now, the sound changes. It is no longer a strike. It is a press. You place the bone tip against the very edge of the obsidian. You press down using the weight of your shoulder. The pressure builds silently, heavily. The stone resists. You push harder. The tension is tight, pulling at the muscles in your forearm. And then it gives. Snap. It is a tiny, crisp sound. A microscopic sliver of glass pops off the edge and lands on the leather. Tick, You move the bone tip a fraction of an inch down the edge. You press again. Snap. Tick. This work requires absolute stillness. If your hand shakes, the arrowhead will break and the stone will be ruined. You must become as still as a stone itself. Your breathing slows down to match the work. Inhale, press, snap, tick. Exhale, inhale, press, snap, tick. Exhale. The rhythm becomes a pendulum, swinging back and forth in the dark room. Snap, tick, snap, tick. It is a metronome counting down the hours of the endless night. It is the most monotonous, repetitive task in the world, and yet it demands your total presence. Your eyes feel heavy. Staring at the tiny black edge in the dim red light is exhausting. The warmth of the embers is seeping into your tired muscles. Your shoulders droop slightly. The repetitive motion, press, snap, turn, press, snap, turn, is lulling your brain into a state of deep, heavy rest. You look down at the deer hide. The pile of black flakes has grown. They look like dark, jagged snow. In the center of your palm, the arrowhead is taking shape. It is small, perfectly symmetrical, with edges so sharp they could split a hair. It is beautiful. It is deadly. It is finished. You've placed the finished arrowhead gently onto the leather pad. It clinks softly against the others. You made earlier in the evening. Clink. You reach into the leather pouch beside you. Your fingers touch another raw, unshaped piece of obsidian. It is cold. It is heavy. You place it in your left hand. You pick up the heavy antler baton in your right hand. You find the angle. You take a slow, deep breath. Click. Shh. The cycle begins again. There is no end to the stones. There is no end to the night. There is only the quiet, rhythmic chipping, echoing softly in the dirt walls of the pit house. Click. Shh. The sound is a blanket. It wraps around your mind. It blocks out everything else. Just focus on the sound. Focus on the tiny spark of red light reflecting off the black glass. Let the repetitive motion pull you down. Let the heavy, smoky air fill your lungs. Snap. Tick. Your eyelids flutter. They are too heavy to keep open. The darkness of the room is pulling at you. The warmth is cradling you. Click. You don't need to stay awake anymore. The work will continue without you. The stone will be shaped. The fire will burn. The night will stretch on, quiet and unchanging, for 1,000 years. Just listen to the stone. Click. Let the sound carry you down into the deep black glass of sleep. Snap. Drift away into the quiet. Click. Into the silent stone. Listen. You do not need to look. Just listen. The world outside has disappeared. It has been swallowed whole by the grey, heavy curtain of the long rain. It is not a violent storm. There is no thunder to shake the ground. There is no lightning to tear the sky. It is simply rain. Endless, heavy, relentless rain. It has been raining for 3 days, or perhaps it is 4. The days bleed together when the sun never breaks through the clouds. The light inside the pit house is dim, a watery, bruised purple that barely reaches the edges of the dirt walls. The fire in the hearth is small, struggling against the dampness that has seeped into every fibre of the room. The wood hisses softly as it burns, protesting the moisture trapped inside its bark. Shh! Pop! You are sitting near the edge of the hearth. You have pulled your knees to your chest. The deer hide is wrapped tightly around your shoulders, thick and comforting against the deep chill that clings to the air. The smell in the dwelling is dense. It is a heavy mixture of wet ash damp earth, old smoke, and the sharp, almost metallic scent of the rain itself. It is the smell of a world that has stopped moving. Look up. Above you is the roof. It is a massive, sloping dome made of thick bundles of dried silver grass, Suzuki, and tough river reeds, layered and lashed tightly to the wooden frame. It is dark brown, almost black where the water has soaked through the outer layers. You can hear the rain hitting the outside of the thatch. It is a low, drumming sound. Thrum, thrum, shh. It is thousands upon thousands of drops hitting the dry grass, soaking in, swelling the fibers, running down the steep sides of the dwelling, and spilling onto the muddy earth outside. The roof is thick. It is heavy. It is the only thing standing between you and the cold grey sky. It is a good roof. It has held for many seasons, but it is not perfect. Nothing in this world is perfect. Somewhere, high up near the smoke hole, the rain has found a way in. It is a slow process. A single drop of water hits a weak point in the thatch. It travels down a blade of grass. It meets another drop. They join. They pull together in a small depression in the woven reeds. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, the water finds a gap. It travels down a thick, twisted vine that binds the rafters. It slides along the underside of a heavy oak beam, creeping inch by inch, fighting gravity until it reaches the lowest point. And there it gathers. It swells into a heavy, clear bead of water, trembling slightly against the rough, soot-stained wood. You watch it. Your eyes are heavy, but you watch it. The bead grows larger. It catches the faint, weak light of the struggling fire. It stretches downward, pulling, pulling, until the weight is too much. It falls. Plop. It hits the center of a small, shallow clay bowl that you placed on the dirt floor hours ago. The bowl is already half full of murky, grey water. The sound of the drop hitting the surface is sharp, clean, and perfectly clear. It cuts through the muffled drumming of the rain outside like a tiny silver bell. Plop. You watch the ripples spread outward across the surface of the water in the bowl. Tiny, perfect circles pushing against the curved clay walls. Before they can settle, another drop is forming on the beam above. You trace its path with tired eyes. It slides down the same vine. It gathers at the same spot on the rough wood. It swells. It trembles. It falls. Plop. Thrum. Shh. The rain outside. Shh. The wet wood in the fire. Plop. The drop hitting the bowl. The sounds begin to weave together. They form a heavy, damp blanket that settles over your mind. It is a boring sound. It is a deeply, profoundly monotonous sound. But inside that monotony is safety. You are dry. You are relatively warm. You are sheltered. Outside, the forest is drowning. The river is swelling, muddy and violent, tearing at the roots of the willow trees. The paths are turning into thick, sucking clay. The animals are huddled deep in their dens, shivering in the cold, wet dark. But you are here, inside the earth, protected by the thick, imperfect thatch. You lean your head back against the dirt wall. It is cool and solid. The texture of the dried mud is rough against your hair. You close your eyes. The watery purple light fades away, leaving only the sounds in the dark. Plop. Your mind begins to drift, carried away on the slow current of the rainwater. You think about the drop falling from the sky, falling through the grey clouds, hitting the roof, sinking through the layers of grass, travelling along the beam, gathering, falling, plop. It is an endless cycle. It has been happening for thousands of years. It will happen for thousands more. The rain falls. The earth drinks. The roof leaks. The bowl fills. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. There is no urgency. Your breathing slows down, matching the heavy, slow rhythm of the water. You inhale the damp, smoky air. It fills your lungs, heavy and grounding. You exhale, letting the tension seep out of your tired muscles, down into the hard dirt floor. Plop. The sound of the drop seems to be moving further away. Or perhaps you are the one moving, sinking deeper into the heavy deer hide, sinking deeper into the earth. The drumming of the rain on the thatch becomes a distant, soothing hum, a vibration that travels through the walls and into your bones. The fire hisses softly. A tiny spark pops, then dies instantly in the damp air. Plop. You don't need to empty the bowl yet. It can wait. Everything can wait. The world has stopped, frozen in this grey, wet moment. The only thing that exists is the heavy, comforting blanket of the sound. Let it wash over you. Let the rain wash away the thoughts. Let the repetitive, unending plop, plop pull you down, down into the quiet, down into the deep, dark water of sleep. The rain will not stop tonight. The fire will burn low. The drop will fall. And you will just rest, safe beneath the thatch, safe in the earth. Plop. Listen to the water. Shh. Listen to the rain. Plop. And drift away. The rain has finally stopped. The heavy grey sky that held the world hostage for days has broken apart, leaving only high, thin clouds that drift lazily in the cold wind. But you are no longer in the forest. You have walked down the long, winding path from the pit house, following the scent of cold, fresh water and the sharp, slightly metallic tang of the mudflats. You are standing in the shallows of the great river. The water is frigid. It swirls slowly around your calves, a deep, murky brown that hides the bottom from your eyes. The current is gentle today. It pulls at the coarse woven fabric of your tunic, tugging with a weak, persistent rhythm. Swish, swirl. It sounds like the river is breathing. It is a massive, ancient beast that never stops moving, never stops grinding the stones into sand, never stops carrying the fallen leaves out toward the unseen ocean. You are bent over at the waist. Your back is a long, aching curve. Your hands, wrinkled and numb from the cold water, are plunged deep into the soft, silty mud of the riverbed. This is not the gathering of the dry forest. This is the wet, heavy work of the shallows. You push your fingers into the dark sludge. The sound is thick and heavy. Squelch, slop. The mud gives way easily, yielding to your hands. It is incredibly fine, almost like paste, smelling intensely of algae, decaying river weeds, and the slow, inexorable turning of the seasons. You dig your fingers deeper, feeling blindly in the cold dark. You are searching for the hard, smooth shapes hidden within the soft earth. Your fingertips brush against something solid. It is small, curved and hard, a freshwater clam, a shijimi. You close your hand around it, pulling it free from the suction of the mud with a soft schlock sound. You bring it up through the murky water. You hold it in your palm. It is small, perhaps the size of a thumbnail, dark brown and ridged. It is tightly closed, a tiny fortress, holding a morsel of life. It is not much. It will not feed the village on its own. But it is something. It is a tiny, necessary fraction of survival. You drop the small shell into a woven basket slung low on your hip. Thud. It hits the wet bottom. You bend over again. You plunge your hands back into the freezing mud. Squelch. You dig. You sift. You feel the grit of the sand grinding under your fingernails. You find another shell, a larger one this time, a hamaguri. It is heavier, smoother, with beautiful, pale, wave-like patterns on its surface, although you cannot see them clearly through the mud coating it. You pull it free. Schlock. You drop it in the basket. Thump. This is the rhythm of the river. Plunge, dig, squelch, pull, drop. It is agonizingly slow. The water numbs your hands until they feel like clumsy blocks of wood. The cold seeps into your joints, making every movement stiff and painful. But you do not stop. You cannot stop. The village relies on the protein hidden in this mud. The river provides, but it demands patience. Infinite, numbing patience. The basket grows heavy. The water dripping from it makes a continuous, rapid patter against the surface of the river. Hours pass, or perhaps only minutes. It is impossible to tell when you are staring at nothing but brown water and feeling nothing but cold mud. The sun moves higher, casting a pale, watery light over the rippling surface. The light catches the small eddies and whirlpools, creating mesmerizing, shifting patterns that draw your eyes and hold them, pulling your mind down into a state of glassy emptiness. You focus only on the sensation in your fingertips, the soft mud, the hard shell, the pull, the drop, the soft mud, the hard shell, the pull, the drop. It is a mantra spoken by your body. It is the most boring, repetitive task imaginable, and it is exactly what keeps you alive. Finally, the basket is full. It is heavy, pulling painfully at your shoulder. You straighten up slowly. Your back groans in protest, the muscles stiff and tight. You wade out of the river, your feet slipping slightly on the smooth, slime-covered stones near the bank. You walk up the slight incline away from the water. The ground here is not dirt, it is white. You are walking toward the shell mound, the Kaizuka. It is massive. It is a monument built by thousands of hands over hundreds of years. It is a hill made entirely of discarded shells. It gleams pale and chalky in the weak sunlight. It is a stark contrast to the dark greens and browns of the forest edge behind it. As you step onto it, the sound changes completely. Crunch, crackle. The shells are brittle. They break under your weight, shattering into sharp white shards. It is a dry, hollow sound, completely different from the wet squelching of the river mud. You reach the top of the mound. It smells faintly of old salt, dried seaweed, and the unmistakable scent of calcium baking in the sun. You set the heavy basket down. Thud. These shells are empty. They have already given their life to the fire, boiled in clay pots, their tiny bodies providing the sustenance needed to survive another winter. They are the refuse of the past, but they are not garbage. They are history. They are the physical proof that your people have been here, pulling life from the mud, season after season, year after year, generation after generation. You reach into the basket. You pull out a handful of the shells you boiled the day before. They are clean now, the meat gone, the mud washed away. They are light, hollow, and fragile. You hold them over the edge of the mound. You open your hand. Clatter, clack, ting. The shells fall. They hit the thousands of other shells below them. The sound is incredible. It is sharp, brittle, and hollow. It echoes slightly, a tiny, cascading avalanche of calcium. It sounds like bones hitting bones. It sounds like time itself clicking forward one microscopic notch. You grab another handful. You let them fall. Clatter, clack, shh. The shells tumble down the side of the white hill, settling into the gaps, locking together. They become part of the monument. They become part of the earth. This sound, this dry, hollow clatter, it is the sound of endless repetition. It is the sound of thousands of years of the exact same action. The mud, the water, the fire, the empty shell, the mound. You do it again. Clack, ting, and again. Clatter. Your eyes droop. The sharp white glare of the shell mound is too bright. The hollow sound is too hypnotic. It is a lullaby sung by the ancestors who stood on this exact spot, tossing their own empty shells onto the pile. They are murmuring to you from beneath the white hill. Rest, they are saying. The work is done. The shell is empty. Add it to the pile. Let it go. You toss the last handful. Clack, tink. The sound fades away. The only thing left is a distant, endless swish, gurgle of the river behind you. The river that never stops. The mud that never empties. The mound that never ceases to grow. You sit down on the edge of the white hill. The crushed shells are sharp, but you do not care. You are so incredibly tired. The cold of the river has drained your energy. The hollow sound of the shells has drained your thoughts. You look out at the water. It flows. It just flows. There is nothing to think about. There is nothing to worry about. You are just a tiny part of the river, a tiny part of the mud, a tiny part of the white hill. Let the sound of the flowing water wash over you. Let the echo of the hollow shells fade into the back of your mind. Swish. Listen to the water. Clack. Remember the shell. Gurgle. Drift down into the deep, dark mud and just sleep. The river is far behind you now. The cold, wet mud has been washed from your skin, and the sharp, white glare of the shell mound has faded into the purple dusk. You have returned to the sanctuary. You have returned to the heart of the earth. Inside the pit house, the air is thick, golden, and incredibly still. The fire in the hearth has been tended with care, and it rewards you with a deep, radiant heat that sinks into your aching joints, loosening the stiffness left by the river water. You are sitting on your woven mat, leaning back against the curved dirt wall. The darkness in the corners of the room is absolute. But here, in the center, the world is glowing. But you are not alone in this warmth. There, resting just at the edge of the hearth's glow, is your oldest friend, your partner, your protector, the hound. He is a creature of the forest, just as much as he is a creature of the home. His coat is thick and coarse, the color of dry autumn grass and charred wood. It is matted with the dust of the trail and the scent of the wild cedar groves. But here, by the fire, he is soft. He is vulnerable. He is completely at peace. He is lying on his side, his long, powerful legs stretched out toward the heat of the embers. His paws, calloused and scarred from years of chasing deer through the jagged rocks of the mountains, twitch occasionally in his sleep. Perhaps he is dreaming of the great hunt. Perhaps he is feeling the rush of the cold wind against his fur as he leaps over fallen logs. But in this room, he does not move. He is anchored to the ground by the sheer weight of his exhaustion. Look at his face. His muzzle is graying, the color of the very wood ash that gathers at the edge of the fire. His eyes are closed tight, the heavy lids flickering slightly. His ears, normally sharp and alert to the slightest snap of a twig outside, are folded back against his head, relaxed and heavy. And then you hear it, the sound that is more lulling than the rain, more comforting than the fire itself. His breathing. It is slow. It is deep. It is perfectly, agonizingly rhythmic. In and out. The sound comes from deep within his chest, a soft, vibrating hum that seems to travel through the dirt floor and into your own body. It is a wet, whistling sound as the air passes through his damp nose. Snore, whistle, huff. It is a sound of absolute trust. He knows that as long as he is by your side, and you are by the fire, the wolves will stay in the dark, and the spirits of the forest will not cross the threshold. You reach out your hand, very slowly. You do not want to wake him. You do not want to break the spell of this silence. Your fingers touch the fur behind his ears. It is warm, so much warmer than the air in the room. It feels like the fire itself has been trapped inside his coat. The fur is rough, but underneath you can feel the steady, powerful pulse of his blood. A slow, thumping rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. It matches the pulse of the glowing embers. It matches the pulse of the earth. He doesn't wake. He only sighs. A long, fluttering exhale that smells faintly of dried meat and wild grass. His body relaxes even further, sinking deeper into the woven mat. He lets out a tiny, high-pitched whimper in his sleep, a ghost of a bark from a dream long forgotten. And then he settles back into the deep, heavy silence. Snore, huff. You watch the way his ribcage rises and falls. It is a slow, steady wave, up and down, up and down. You find your own breathing starting to change. Without realizing it, you are slowing down. You are waiting for his next breath before you take your own. You are becoming synchronized with the hound. The fire pops softly. A single orange spark drifts up, dancing for a moment in the smoky air before vanishing into the rafters. The hound's ear twitches at the sound, but his eyes stay closed. He knows this sound. He knows he is safe. There is a profound, heavy boredom in this moment. There is nothing to say. There is nothing to do. You could sit here for hours, simply watching the dog breathe, and it would be the most important thing in the world. The modern world would call this wasted time. But here, in the Jomon night, this is the very definition of life. To be warm, to be fed, to be together in the dark. The heat from the hearth is making your vision blurry. The golden light reflects off the hound's fur, creating a shimmering halo that seems to expand and contract with his breath. The smell of the dog, that musky, earthy, comforting smell, is filling your head, pushing out the last thoughts of the river mud and the white shells. You pull the deer hide closer around your shoulders. The texture of the fur against your neck feels exactly like the fur of the hound. You are part of the same world. You are both animals of the hearth, resting before the cycle begins again. In, out, snore, huff. The sound of his breathing begins to fill the entire pit house. It echoes softly off the curved mud walls. It vibrates in the wooden rafters. It seems to be coming from the earth itself. It is a heavy, thick sound. A sound that carries the weight of 10,000 years of companionship. You think about the ancestors of this dog. The wolves that first sat at the edge of the light, drawn by the smell of the meat and the warmth of the humans. You think about the generations of hounds that have slept on this exact floor, by this exact fire, protecting the children of your children's children. They are all here, in this breath, a long, unbroken line of silence and loyalty. Your head begins to droop. Your chin touches your chest. The sound of the hound's breathing is now the only thing left in the universe. It is a rhythmic tide, pulling you away from the shore of wakefulness. In, the world expands. Out, the world vanishes. You feel the weight of your own body pressing into the mat. It feels heavy, like stone. It feels solid, like the roots of the oak trees. You are not just sitting. You are becoming part of the floor. You are sinking into the dirt, into the ash, into the history of this place. The fire is now just a faint, pulsing red eye in the darkness. The shadows have swallowed the corners of the room completely. The only light left is the tiny, flickering reflection on the hound's wet nose. Snore. Huff. He shifts slightly, stretching a paw until it touches your leg. The contact is warm. It is a silent reminder that you are not alone in the dark. You are together. You are safe. You are at peace. Your eyes close. You do not try to fight it. There is no reason to stay. The night is long, and the fire is banked, and the hound is dreaming. Let his breath be your guide. Let the slow, vibrating hum of his chest carry you down, through the floor, through the layers of the earth, back to the beginning of time. Everything is slow. Everything is rhythmic. Everything is perfectly, beautifully dull. The hound breathes. The fire pulses. The night waits. Listen to the whistle of the air in his nose. Feel the warmth of the fur against your hand, and just let go. In, out. You are drifting now, floating on the slow, heavy wave of the hound's sleep. There are no more words. There is no more stone. There is only the breath, the eternal, quiet breath of the Jomon night. Snore! Huff! Sleep. 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 The darkness is a blanket. The heat is a cradle. The breath is a song. You are the hearth. You are the house. You are the hound. You are the night. There is no end to the silence. There is no end to the rest. Let the world outside freeze. Let the wind howl. In here, there is only the slow, rhythmic heartbeat of a sleeping friend. Thump, thump, thump. Your mind is a pool of still water. No ripples, no movement, just the deep, dark reflection of the fire. You are sinking. You are falling. You are at rest. 10,000 years in a single breath. 10,000 years in a single dream. The hound is waiting for you in the quiet. Go to him. Go to the sleep. Go to the dark. Snore. Huff. In. Out. The world you once knew has vanished. The green forests of summer. The golden afternoons of the gathering. Even the grey, rhythmic rains of autumn. They have all been buried under a vast, suffocating blanket of white. It is the long winter, the time of the great silence. Outside the pit house, the wind is a living thing. It howls through the skeletal branches of the oak trees, a high, thin screaming that never stops. It carries the ice of the northern mountains, driving it against the thick thatch of your roof with a sound like 1,000 tiny claws scratching at the grass. But inside, the world has shrunk to the size of the hearth. The air is cold. Even with the fire burning, the chill is a physical weight. It creeps through the gaps in the door flap, settling near the floor like an invisible fog. You are wrapped in every layer of fur you own, sitting so close to the embers that the skin on your face feels tight and dry. The smell of the room has changed again. It is no longer the fresh scent of wood smoke. It is the heavy, stale smell of people and animals trapped together for too many days. It is the smell of endurance. In your hands, you hold a piece of raw deer hide. It is stiff. It is frozen. During the autumn hunts, this skin was supple and warm, but the winter has turned it into something as hard and as brittle as a sheet of dried bark. If you try to wear it now, it will crack. If you try to move in it, it will cut your skin. It is useless, unless you give it your time, unless you give it your body. You lift the edge of the cold grey hide to your mouth. You begin to chew, crunch, gnaw, mash. The taste is faint, salt, old smoke, and the lingering, metallic tang of the animal. The texture is incredibly tough, resisting your teeth with a stubborn, silent strength. You bite down, using the heavy muscles of your jaw, grinding the fibers of the skin back and forth. You are not eating, you are not consuming, you are softening. You are using the warmth of your saliva and the persistent pressure of your teeth to break the frozen spirit of the hide. Crunch, mash. This is the most repetitive, the most agonizingly slow task of the entire year. It is a work of absolute patience. You spend an hour on a piece no larger than the palm of your hand. You chew until your jaw aches, until the muscles in your neck grow tight and throb with a dull, rhythmic pain. And then you move your teeth an inch to the left, and you begin again. The sound of your own chewing fills your head. It is a wet, rhythmic grinding that blocks out the howling of the wind outside. It becomes the only sound in the universe. Munch, grind, soften. You are like a slow, steady machine, processing the winter away, 1 inch of leather at a time. The room is silent. Across from you, your family members are doing the same. They are shadows in the dim, red light of the dying fire. Their heads bowed, their jaws moving in a slow, synchronized dance. No one speaks. There is nothing to say. The winter has stolen your words, leaving only the necessity of the work. You watch the fire. The embers are a deep, bruised purple now, covered in a thick layer of fine white ash. Every few minutes, a small piece of wood settles deeper into the pit, sending a tiny cloud of dust into the air. You watch the dust fall. It moves so slowly, drifting in the warm updrafts before landing on the frozen dirt floor. You focus on a single speck of ash. You follow it until it vanishes, and then you find another. Grind, mash, soften. Your mind begins to drift, lulled by the repetitive motion of your jaw. You think about the deer this skin once belonged to. You think about it leaping through the tall summer grass, unaware that its hide would one day be held in the mouth of a human, being softened by the fire in the middle of a blizzard. The cycle of life is slow. It is heavy. It is completely indifferent to your exhaustion. The cold is pressing in. You can feel it behind you, a sharp, icy finger touching the back of your neck. You pull the furs tighter. The movement is slow, as if your very bones had become frozen like the earth outside. You do not want to move. Moving takes energy, and energy is more precious than gold in the long winter. You must stay still. You must stay quiet. You must just chew, munch, grind. The sound is hypnotic. It is a lullaby of survival. It tells you that as long as you are chewing, you are alive. As long as you are working the hide, you are preparing for the spring. But the spring feels like a myth, a story told by elders to keep the children from crying in the dark. Right now, there is only the white wind and the cold leather. Your eyelids are drooping. The red glow of the fire is blurring into a single, pulsing point of light. The rhythmic grinding in your ears is starting to sound like the distant surf of the ocean. It is a deep, resonant vibration that echoes in the base of your skull. Grind, soften, You feel the stiffness of the hide beginning to give way. The spot you have been working on is now warm. It is flexible. It feels like real skin again. You run your tongue over the softened fibers, feeling the success of your labor. It is a tiny victory, a microscopic advancement against the vast, crushing weight of the winter. But there is so much more to do. The hide is large. The winter is long. You move to the next section. You bite down. Crunch. The resistance is back. The cold is back. The work begins again. You find yourself staring at the hound sleeping near the hearth. His fur is dusted with white ash, and his breath is a faint, rhythmic puff of steam in the cold air. He is not chewing. He is just existing. You envy his stillness. You want to be like the dog, curled into a ball of heat, unaware of the passage of the frozen hours. But you are the keeper of the hide. You are the one who must make the clothes. So, you continue. Munch, grind, mash. The sound becomes a blanket. It wraps around your thoughts, smothering them one by one. You stop thinking about the hunger in your stomach. You stop thinking about the wood pile growing smaller every day. You stop thinking about the sun. You only think about the texture of the leather against your teeth. Soft, hard, soft, hard. The world is fading. The walls of the pit house are dissolving into the smoky dark. The fire is a distant star, millions of miles away. There is only you, the hide, and the sound. Grind, soften. Your head falls forward, your chin resting on the cold leather. Your jaw continues to move, but slower now, much slower. The rhythm is breaking. The gaps between the grinds are growing longer. The wind outside seems to be moving further away. The howling is now a whisper, a soft, hushing sound that tells you it's okay to close your eyes. The leather is warm now. It smells like safety. It feels like a pillow. You don't need to finish the hide tonight. The winter will still be here tomorrow. The snow will still be deep. The fire will still be waiting for you. Just one more grind, munch, and then silence. Let the cold air turn into a dream of summer. Let the sound of your own breath replace the sound of the wind. You are sinking into the fur. You are sinking into the warmth of your own body. The long winter is a time for sleep. It is a time for the earth to rest, and for you to rest with it. Grind, soften, sleep. The embers pulse one last time, a deep, dark red, and then they disappear behind your heavy lids. The hide is soft. The night is still. The winter is eternal. Just sleep. In the silence of the white dark, in the rhythm of the frozen world, sleep, sleep. Every fiber of the leather, every hair on the deerskin, you know them all. You have felt them with your teeth. You have warmed them with your breath. They are part of you now. You are the deer, and you are the winter, and you are the fire. The world is a circle. The work is a circle. The sleep is a circle. Don't fight the weight. Let it pull you down. Let the snow bury the thoughts. There's nothing to find out there. Everything is in here. In the dark. In the warmth. In the long, slow, boring dream of the Jomon winter. Grind. Soften. Drift away. The winter is passing. The air is still cold, biting and sharp, but the snow has stopped its relentless falling. The clouds have finally parted, torn open by a high, silent wind that lives only in the upper reaches of the world. And for the first time in many, many moons, you step outside. You step away from the smoky warmth of the pit house. You step into the true dark. It is a darkness that no longer exists in the world you know. It is a deep, velvety, absolute black that swallows the forest, the river, and the mountains. But as you look up, the darkness vanishes. The sky is on fire with stars. There are thousands of them, millions, a vast shimmering river of white and silver light that arches from one edge of the horizon to the other. It is the Milky Way, the path of the ancestors, the great spirit trail that flows through the night. The stars are so bright they seem to vibrate. They pulse with a cold, distant energy, flickering in shades of blue, pale yellow, and diamond white. They are so many, and they are so close, that you feel as if you could reach out your hand and touch the cold fire of the universe. You are standing in the center of the clearing, your feet resting on the frozen, crusty snow. The cold of the earth travels up through your legs, but you do not feel it. You are staring upward, your neck arched, your mouth slightly open in a silent breath of wonder. The silence is absolute. There is no wind in the lower branches. There is no sound from the river. There is only the hum of the stars. It is a sound that exists only in your mind, a high, shimmering vibration that matches the pulsing of the light above. In front of you, a small fire is burning. It is not for warmth. It is for the sky. You have fed it with dry cedar branches and the sweet-smelling resin of the pine tree. The smoke rises in a thin, straight line, perfectly vertical in the still night air. It is a pale, ghostly ribbon, twisting slowly as it climbs higher and higher, disappearing into the starlight. You watch the smoke. You follow it with your eyes until it becomes part of the great river of spirits above. You begin to hum. It is not a song. It has no melody. It has no words. It is a vibration that starts deep in your chest, a low, resonant drone that echoes the sound of the earth. It is your prayer, a prayer to the nameless ones, to the spirits of the oak trees, to the masters of the hunt, to the ancient mothers who walked this clearing before the stars were even named. You are not asking for anything. You are not begging for the spring. You are simply acknowledging that they are there, that you are part of the pattern, that your life, as small and as fleeting as a spark from the fire, is woven into the vast, eternal fabric of the night. The sound of your own voice vibrates in your skull, lulling your mind. It is a repetitive, hypnotic sound. It is a drone that blocks out the thoughts of the hunger, the thoughts of the cold, the thoughts of the work. You are becoming as empty as the sky. You are becoming as vast as the darkness. You look at a single star, a bright blue-white point of light sitting just above the silhouette of the great cedar tree. You focus all your energy on that one star. You watch it pulse. You watch it flicker. You feel the connection between your own heartbeat and the rhythm of that distant sun. Thump, flash, thump, flash. Everything is connected. The ash in the fire, the snow on the ground, the blood in your veins, the light in the sky. It is all one single, slow, breathing entity. Your eyes are growing heavy. Staring into the deep black void between the stars is exhausting. The vastness of the universe is a weight, pressing down on your shoulders, pushing you toward the earth. You feel small. You feel insignificant. And in that smallness, there is an incredible, profound peace. There is nothing to prove. There is nothing to achieve. You are simply a witness. You are a pair of eyes looking at the universe, and the universe is looking back. The smoke from the cedar fire is filling your nose, the sharp, sweet, spiritual scent of the forest's soul. It is a clean smell. It clears the mind. It makes the world feel transparent. You can see through the trees. You can see through the mountains. You can see into the heart of the night. The stars seem to be moving. Or perhaps the earth is turning, tilting you slowly back into the dark. You feel a sense of vertigo, a gentle, swirling sensation in the pit of your stomach. It is not frightening. It is like being cradled in a massive, unseen hand, the hand of the Great Spirit, the hand of the Nameless Mother. You sink down onto your knees. The snow crunches softly, a tiny sound that feels like a violation of the sacred silence. You rest your hands on your thighs, your palms turned upward toward the sky. You are open. You are waiting. The fire is dying down. The blue flames are gone, leaving only the glowing charcoal and the pale smoke. The light on the ground is fading, making the stars look even brighter, even closer. They are descending toward you, a rain of silent light. The vibration in your chest is growing softer. It is a whisper now, a secret shared between you and the void. You think about the stories the elders told, the stories of the star people who descended from the sky to teach the Jomon how to find the fire, the stories of the great bear that hunts across the northern sky, the stories of the children who became the 7 sisters. They are not just stories, they are maps, they are memories. But tonight, even the stories are too much. They are too heavy. You let them go. You let the names of the stars go. You let the shapes of the constellations go. You only keep the light. Your eyelids flutter and close, but the stars are still there. You can see them behind your lids, thousands of tiny, glowing points of light pulsing in the dark. They are inside you now. You have swallowed the sky. The cold air on your face feels like a soft, icy cloth. It is refreshing. It is numbing. The tension in your neck is gone. The ache in your back is gone. The exhaustion of the long winter is being pulled out of your body by the gravity of the stars. You are floating. You are no longer a person. You are a point of consciousness, drifting through the silver river. You are moving past the blue stars. You are moving past the red stars. You are moving through the great silent clouds of cosmic dust. None. The sound of your prayer is now just a memory, a vibration that has faded into the background of the universe. The world is still. The fire is ash. The smoke is gone. There is only the night. There is only the vast, unchanging peace of the nameless gods. They are not judging you. They are not watching you. They are simply existing, and you are existing with them. You are so tired, so beautifully, profoundly tired. The weight of the sky is too much to carry. Let it fall. Let it press you down into the soft, white snow. Let the cold become a blanket. Let the darkness become a home. You are falling into the sky. You are sinking into the stars. There is no more winter. There is no more work. There is no more time. Just the light. Just the dark. Just the endless, quiet myth of a night. Drift away into the silver river. Lose yourself in the pulse of the blue fire. Let the nameless gods hold your spirit. Sleep. Sleep. In the stars. The stars are your blanket. The darkness is your pillow. The silence is your song. You are home. You have always been home. 10,000 years, and the stars have not moved. 10,000 years, and the prayer is still the same. Sleep. In the quiet dark, among the gods. Sleep. The stars are fading. The deep, velvety black of the spirit trail is slowly dissolving, washed away by a pale, watery grey that bleeds in from the eastern edge of the world. The night is not ending so much as it is breathing out, letting go of its secrets to make room for the soft, bruised light of the pre-dawn. You are still here. You are sitting in the same spot by the hearth, wrapped in the same furs, breathing the same smoky air that has sustained your people for 1,000 generations. The fire is nothing but a bed of silent white ash now, but the heat remains, a ghostly presence lingering in the dirt floor and the thick wooden beams. Listen. The silence of the night is changing. It is no longer the heavy, absolute silence of the winter dark. It is a thin, expectant silence, a silence that is waiting for the first sound of the new world. And then it comes. From far away, deep in the dripping cedar groves, a single bird calls. It is a tiny, fragile sound, a clear, liquid whistle that cuts through the grey mist. Peep, whistle. It is joined by another, and then another, until the forest begins to wake, not with a roar, but with a gentle, rhythmic stirring. This is the endless repetition. The sun will rise, just as it rose yesterday, and just as it will rise 10,000 years from now. The light will touch the tops of the oak trees. It will filter through the thatch of your roof. It will find the sleeping hound and the woven baskets and the piles of acorns and the cold clay pots. Everything will be exactly where it was. Everything is exactly where it belongs. There is a profound, soul-deep comfort in this lack of change. In your world, there is no progress. There is no rush toward a distant, uncertain future. There is only the circle of the seasons, the circle of the moon, the circle of the birth and the death and the rebirth of the forest. You think about the day that lies ahead of you. It will be a day of quiet work. You will walk to the river. You will gather wood. You will tend the fire. You will sit with the elders and listen to the stories you have already heard 100 times before. You will do exactly what your father did and what his father did, back to the beginning of time. And in that repetition, you are free. You are free from the burden of choice. You are free from the anxiety of the unknown. You are held in the steady, unchanging hands of the earth. You are a single bead on an infinite string, a part of a pattern so vast and so stable that it can never be broken. The light in the pit house is growing stronger. It is a soft, pearly glow that reveals the textures of your life. The rough grain of the cedar posts, the intricate weaving of the mats, the smooth, blackened surface of the hearthstones. You look at these things, and you feel a deep, quiet love for them. They are your anchors. They are the furniture of your soul, in and out. Your breathing is slow, matching the slow awakening of the world outside. The cold air of the morning is beginning to drift into the dwelling, smelling of wet earth and waking pine. It is a fresh smell, a clean smell, the smell of a world that has been washed clean by the night. You do not move. There is no need to hurry. The sun takes its time climbing the mountains, and so do you. You watch the way the shadows shift on the dirt wall, stretching and shrinking as the light changes. It is a slow, silent dance. A dance that has been performed on these walls for centuries. You feel a sense of completion. The journey through the night is over. You have survived the winter. You have walked among the stars. You have listened to the breath of the hound and the rhythm of the rain. You have seen the hidden life of the stone and the clay. You have gathered the gifts of the forest and the river, and now you are back at the beginning. The endless repetition is not a prison. It is a sanctuary. It is the peace that comes from knowing exactly who you are and where you belong. You are the Jomon. You are the person of the forest. You are the child of the earth and the sky. The fire of your ancestors is still burning within you. It is a quiet flame, a steady warmth that does not flicker. It is the flame of continuity. It is the flame of peace. Your eyes are heavy again, but it is a different kind of heaviness now. It is not the exhaustion of the work, but the deep, satisfied weight of a spirit that is at rest. You have seen the dawn, and you know that the day will be good. You know that the circle is holding. You lean your head back against the cool mud of the wall. One last time, you close your eyes, letting the pale morning light turn the darkness behind your lids into a soft, glowing gold. Shh! The wind in the thatch. Whistle. The bird in the grove. In, out. The breath in your lungs. The sounds are fading. The world is receding. You are drifting back into the quiet, back into the dream of the endless forest. You are sinking into the earth, becoming one with the soil, the roots and the stones. The dawn has come, but for you, the sleep is just beginning. A deeper sleep, a sleep that transcends time, a sleep that lasts for 10,000 years. Do not wake. There is no need. The world will continue without you. The sun will rise and fall. The acorns will drop. The river will flow, and you will be here, resting in the heart of the circle, safe in the arms of the repetition. Everything is the same. Everything is perfect. Everything is quiet. The morning is a whisper. The light is a blanket. The peace is eternal. Listen to the silence of the dawn. Feel the stillness of the earth. And just let go. One last time. Into the circle. Into the light. Into the dream that never ends. The repetition continues. The peace remains. The Jomon night becomes the Jomon day. And you are the stillness in the center of it all. Sleep, sleep, sleep. The cycle is complete. The journey is done. The forest is waiting. The earth is calling. Rest now, in the light of the first morning, in the shadow of the last night. In, out, forever. Sleep.